Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, presented by Chanel Pierce and Katie Watson.
This theory was created in 1943 by Abraham Maslow. The general description of this theory is a hierarchy of needs is based on a theory that one level of needs must be met before moving on to the next step, starting with physiological, in safety, belongingness, esteem, and self-actualization. Self-actualization is like the peak where everybody wants to be someday. This is just a little graph that kind of breaks down each level of the theory and explain, from the basic physiological, just basic breathing, food, sleep, sex, whatever, and moving on up into self-actualization, where it's about morality, creativity, spontaneity, spirituality comes into play at that point. You don't move into the next level until you kind of achieve the level below it. Some of these levels you'll always be working towards achieving. As breathing, you'll never stop wanting to breathe, but it'll be once you kind of met that goal, you move up to the next level. Maslow broke these groups down into two different areas. The first four are called deficiency needs, the physiological, safety, belongingness, and esteem. And kind of once you get that group kind of figured out, you can move into the growth needs. In 1954, he broke down the self-esteem concept into including cognitive, aesthetic, self-actualization, and self-transcendence. So we kind of broke it down a little bit more. So what is the worldview or the physiological underpinnings about this theory? Basically, lower level needs always remain, but a person's ability to pursue higher level needs indicates movement towards physiological health and well-being, as quoted from the text that you see there on the screen. So, like I said earlier, there's always going to be the need to pursue the lower levels, but you don't sit there every day and think about, am I breathing, or how am I going to get food? Most people kind of already have that figured out with food in their fridge, but there are some people that would be a need that they would be stuck on that level and can't pursue into the next areas until they figure that one out. So, is the worldview compatible with the biblical worldview? I think it is, and according to Witt, the answer is yes. He argued Maslow was trying to prove humans are not blindly reacting to situations, but trying to accomplish something greater. Also, one more thing I'd like to point out in the self-actualization category, Maslow recognized spirituality as a motivational navigator, which is, goes right along with the biblical worldview. A lot of we as Christians are motivated by what our relationship is spiritually with the God that we serve. So I think the answer is yes.
Major assumptions of the theory. Maslow's hierarchy of needs argues that the basic needs need to be met before higher needs, such as air, sleep, water, food, that those needs need to be fulfilled before the patient needs self-respect and creativity and problem solving and esteem and a feeling of belonging with friends and family. It maintains that the person is not aware of those higher needs until the basic needs are met. So if a person does not have food and water, they're not going to be craving the creativity and the problem solving and the relationship with friends and family until they have those basic needs. It also assumes that all people have the same basic needs, that everybody needs to have food and water and a feeling for belonging and self-achievement and self-actualization and confidence. It argues that everybody has kind of the same desire and progresses in the same level and the same order of these needs. Theorist perspective of health, person, environment, and nursing. The theorist perspective of health includes the physiological needs are the most basic needs that need to be met first. These include air, food, water, sex, and sleep. The theorist perspective of person includes self-esteem, respect, creativity, problem-solving, confidence. It also includes relationships such as friendship and love. This is all about the person. The theorist perspective of environment includes safety, providing property, security of the environment, employment, resources. This is the environment around the patient and all the people around the patient as well. perspective on nursing includes that the nurse must also progress through the same hierarchy of needs, such as the physiological needs being met first before the higher needs. This includes that the nurse must have air, food, water before they're able to have the problem solving and the creativity and the respect and sense of achievement needed to perform the nursing job. Possible theory applications in nursing. According to Groff and Tahar, the highest level, self-actualization, is that of becoming all that one is capable of becoming in terms of talents, skills, and abilities, meaning that the nurse needs to function at the highest level of the pyramid when performing their job. This would be self-actualization. It is important for the nurse to have good self-care and to meet the basic physiological needs before they can achieve this higher level. That means that the nurse needs to make sure that they're getting food and water and sleep and have health and resources and property and good relationships with friends and families so that they can have that creativity and problem solving and that higher level of needs when they're on the job. The theory can also be used to prioritize patients' care. All basic needs need to be met in order for the nurse to take care of the higher needs. So if a patient is not oxygenating well, they're not going to be aware for the need for creativity and for friends and family. The nurse must go back to the basics and just really take care of that air, food, and water and excretion and make sure they're doing all of those things before the nurse needs to focus on providing friends and family and relationships and confidence and self-respect and a feeling of achievement for the patient. Maslow's hierarchy is also a useful organizational framework that can be applied to various nursing models for assessment of patient's strength, limitations, and the need for interventions. So, say the patient's physiological needs are all met, then that would make the nurse prioritize more for the safety side, for health and property and resources, and moving up the categories would go to friends and family next, or confidence, self-respect, and achievement. And lastly, for a patient to have good problem solving and creativity skills. The nurse kind of can use that as seeing what's the patient's strengths, where do they need help at, and kind of what level is the patient on so the nurse knows where to focus her time and energy. In this PowerPoint, we have learned that Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is based on the theory that one level of needs must be met before moving on to the next level. It starts with physiological needs, then safety needs, love and belonging, self-esteem, and lastly, self-actualization.